Well, good morning. How's everybody doing today? Okay. Andy, hey, if you find one of those pins, I will buy it from you for $1. I'll make it even better for you. I'll give you $5. Andy, since you're the first one in this morning, David, good morning from Kentucky. How are you today? How's our audio this morning, gentlemen? Mike, how are we doing today? Michelle, how pleasant, wonderful, wonderful to hear from you. Who wants to be our audio engineer and chime in how we're doing on that this morning? Yes, a $5 bill. Carol, my goodness, how are things in the UK? Hey, who wants to chime in? Do we have good audio this morning? Very good, Jim. Thank you. I'm glad to hear that. Hey, good morning, mi amigos. So, how is everyone doing this beautiful, beautiful day? Here in Kingman, it's been another week of seasons. We had a hard frost yesterday morning, a bit of rain the day before, cold rain, 85 degrees by this coming Friday, 75 degrees this afternoon. Well, I am trying out a new microphone and setup. I'm putting the money from our crowdfunding initiative to good use, buying new equipment, trying to improve what we do here. So I hope the audio is good. This week on Coffee with Jim, it's Destination Albuquerque. I'm going to share a few of my favorite places in this delightful city, a bit of history, and a whole lot of road trip inspiration. As fans of Jim Hinckley's America know, I am very partial to small towns with 3 stoplights or less. Still, there's just something about a town like Albuquerque. How can you go wrong in any town that has an absolutely wonderful steakhouse hidden in the back of a neighborhood liquor store that sells the cheapest wine and $100 bottles of champagne, vintage cognac, and low-budget light beer? Is anyone here familiar with the Monte Carlo Steakhouse in Albuquerque? Something else that I like about Albuquerque is its Route 66 association. There are 2 distinctly different alignments in the city. Both are amply peppered to tangible links to the city's history. Both have a very unique character, and both can be quite frustrating as the city has just grown just a tad bit since the streets were used to carry Route 66 traffic. The old alignment courses through interesting old neighborhoods and past some great little restaurants that I hope have survived the COVID-19 disaster. And the sharp-eyed traveler will discover all sorts of little urban gems, like a thinly disguised Hudson dealership. Central Avenue, the post 37 alignment, is the one most familiar to Route 66 enthusiasts. Until quite recently, It was a near-perfect time capsule of Route 66 circa 1955. Transformation of the avenue to include a bus corridor was poorly planned, in my humble opinion, for what that's worth. Still, it's quite surprising how many relics have survived into the modern era. Some of the relics, such as vintage motels, are pretty tarnished treasures, to say the very least. They've long catered to weekly and monthly rental trade and are just one step away from being transformed into a vacant lot. Others have been given a new lease on life. An excellent, excellent case in point, the wonderful, delightful Elvato Court. The Elvato Auto Court was built in 1937, and it's almost a twin to the historic El Rey Motel along Route 66 in Santa Fe. The Directory of Motor Courts and Cottages, published by AAA in 1949, gave the Elvato rave reviews. It noted the motel was 5 minutes from historic Old Town. It adjoined the golf course, and it had access to a bathing beach on the Rio Grande. It was listed as one of the most modern courts in the city, with thermostatically controlled steam heat, combination tub and shower baths, and beautiful landscaped grounds. And get this, it was so modern, there was a radio and a telephone in every room. The price was $2.50 to $5 per night. It operated until 2005. Of course, by that time, the property was very tired, but it matched the neighborhood. There were plans to demolish the motel as the property was worth far more than an old motel. There was some lengthy and nasty legal wrangling with the city, kind of a landmark decisions. The motel survived and was transformed into something spectacular. The renovation launched the transformation of the area, and it serves a great case study in how an historic property can be renewed with investment and imagination and a partnership with the city that sees value in its historic properties. Listed on the National New Mexico State Register of Cultural Properties and National Register of Historic Places in 1993, it was designated an Albuquerque city landmark in 2008. A few of the rooms were upgraded and enhanced, but with an eye on preservation. A tap room was added, and the parking lot was transformed into a courtyard with small pool. Some of the rooms were transformed into shops, and the old neon sign was restored. It is a showpiece and a destination. At this point, I need to pay a few bills before we continue with our morning's adventure. So I want to give a shout out to the iconic Wagon Wheel Motel in Cuba, Missouri. This is no mere motel. It is a living, breathing time capsule where the very essence of the magical Route 66 experience is made manifest. And of course, I need to say thank you to the boys of the road crew for our theme song. These crooners sure know how to inspire a road trip. Take a listen to their tunes at roadcrew66.com. Another example of the time capsules found in the city's historic center along Route 66, and that's not to be confused with historic Old Town, is the wonderful Chemo Theater. Built in 1927, the theater is a Pueblo Deco masterpiece. It's a unique architectural style. It was a vibrant blending of Southwest traditional Native American culture with the exuberance of Art Deco. Architect Carl Bowler traveled throughout New Mexico visiting the pueblos of Acoma and Isleta and the Navajo Nation before designing the theater. And then, after months of research, he submitted plans and a watercolor rendering. A unique and innovative engineering feature in the theater is the balcony. Get this, it was designed to give and sway. When it was loaded to capacity, the balcony would sag 4 to 8 inches in the middle. How about that one? All of the murals and images of rain clouds, birds, and swastikas They were carefully selected for cultural significance. Likewise, the colors were carefully chosen. The crowning touch has to be the 9 large wall murals painted in oil by Karl von Hassler. He spent months on these creations. The theater cost $150,000. The Wurlitzer pipe organ was an extra $18,000. Isleta Pueblo Governor Pablo Abieta won a prize of $50 for naming the new theater Chemo. It's a combination of two Tiwa words meaning mountain lion, liberally interpreted as king of its kind. Interestingly enough, in Kingman, the Chemo Cafe was KI for Kingman, MO for Mojave County. A little bit of useless knowledge there for you. A large fire in the early 60s severely damaged the stage and adjacent areas, and further disrepair came on the heels of the decline of the downtown district through the 1970s. The theater was slated for demolition, but in 1977, a grassroots initiative led to its purchase by the city, and then a full renovation into a performing arts center and movie palace. It's kind of amazing what happens when people come together with a sense of community and community purpose. Day or night, a cruise along Central Avenue is an exciting, maddening, frustrating sensory overload. Renovated neon signage and relics that haven't cast a glow in decades, time capsules, repurposed relics. There's the zoo, diners, new and old, restaurants that will appeal familiar to fans of Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. These are just a few of the highlights of cruising Central Avenue, Route 66 in Albuquerque. And if you add a detour or two, you can throw in attractions, like the Sandia Peak Tramway, a surprisingly diverse array of museums, and of course, historic Old Town, my personal favorite. And you throw those things all together, and you should have more than enough to fill several vacations. It might even encourage you to consider making Albuquerque your new hometown. Before I get too far down the road, let's take a minute and discuss this amazing tramway. It's the longest aerial tram in the United States, and it was the longest in the world from its construction in 1966 until 2010. It was built by Bell Engineering of Lucerne, Switzerland. The exhilarating ride from the foothills along the Rio Grande Valley starts at 6,550 feet and rises to 10,370 feet in the Sandia Mountains. The ride is just a hair over 15 minutes, closer to 20 minutes. From the summit and restaurant, you have a panoramic view that's absolutely jaw-dropping. Even in summer, I recommend taking a light jacket. It gets cold up on that mountain. The dining experience at the 10-3 restaurant mirrors the view. The focus is on the blending of unique regional flavors. Most ingredients are locally sourced. And if you want to do more than eat and just take pictures, well, there are a lot of Forest Service trails for hiking and backpacking in the mountains. COVID didn't kill it off. It was more due to poor management, a little under-the-table dealings, and a few other things. But Kelly's Brew Pub is currently closed, and I'm hoping that as we get things reopened, an investor with vision will be turning the lights back on. I miss this place. This historic building is another example of urban renewal in Albuquerque. In 1939, Ralph Jones, a local Ford dealer and the president of the Route 66 Association, as well as the Albuquerque Chamber of Commerce, commissioned the construction of a gas station, a car dealership, and garage along Route 66 in the Nob Hill area on the east side of Albuquerque. Architect Tom Danahy designed the one-story building in an Art Moderne style with white stucco, red brick trim, and a flat roof. The large display windows in front showcase the latest model Fords. And of course, being on Route 66, the garage and gas station were always busy. Upon its completion, the Jones Motor Company received accolades from Ford Motor Company for its styling. In 1957, the Jones Motor Company built a new location. The building served an array of purposes over the years. Then in 1999, it was renovated as Kelly's Brewery. And the facade was restored to its original appearance. And kind of a catchy thing, but the neon Ford script that was on the tower originally was recreated, but it was modified to read simply food. You know, I've mentioned this previously, but there's a multitude of time capsules along Central Avenue. This is just one example. But tragically, a lot of these classic old motels are endangered. And I'd be willing to bet money that most of them will be gone by the time of the Route 66 centennial in 2026. Some are in really poor shape. Others have been abandoned and have been heavily vandalized. And then there's just a simple, harsh reality. The property is too valuable for just an old motel. And what happens often is the old motel is razed and replaced by a shopping center, an apartment complex, or high-rise hotel. Only time will tell, I suppose. But I personally am hoping that a few of these will be given a new lease on life, something like that happened with the Elvato. And we sure don't want to wear out our welcome, like a cousin that shows up for the weekend and stays until summer. So, moving right along, let me talk about the one and only Albuquerque International Balloon Festival. For 9 days in October, the Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta transforms the Rio Grande Valley. The event often attracts more than 750,000 people. Needless to say, motels get filled up in Albuquerque during this period, and reservations are often made far, far in advance. It's not uncommon to see over 500 balloons entered in this event from all over the world. And like I say, every hotel room, Airbnb, anybody's got a travel trailer they can rent, fills up pretty good. Still, if you have an opportunity, even if it's just a drive through town during the event, I highly recommend it. In fact, I would go so far as to say that if you're planning a Route 66 trip, plan it so it coincides with the festival. It's a great idea. And of course, for me personally, October is my favorite time of the year to travel Route 66. Travel tip of the day, if you will. But that is a story for another day. The Albuquerque Museum of History, Arts and History is located in the heart of the historic Old Town District. It features art of the Southwest as well as relics that tell the 400-year-old story of regional history there. And located within walking distance of Old Town is the New Mexico Museum of Natural History and Science. Exhibit halls will take guests through the formation of the universe, the age of the dinosaurs, geologic changes, volcanoes, ice ages, and they have an out-of-this-world planetarium. The National Museum of Nuclear Science and History has an array of exhibits that chronicle development of the atomic age from the Manhattan Project through the Cold War. It also includes Heritage Park, which is a 9-acre outdoor exhibition area with aircraft, missiles, and nuclear submarines. Explora, that's New Mexico's premier hands-on learning center with more than 250 interactive exhibits and educational programs. The National Hispanic Cultural Center is the only national cultural institution dedicated to the study, advancement, and presentation of Hispanic culture, arts, and humanities. You have the Indian Pueblo Cultural Center, dedicated to the preservation and preservation of Pueblo Native American culture, history, and art. How about a couple more? You have the American International Rattlesnake Museum. Needless to say, this is all about snake bites, venom, and, well, it houses the world's largest collection of live rattlesnakes. There's also a turquoise museum, And the Holocaust and Intolerance Museum, a museum of archaeology and biblical history. The Unser Racing Museum, the Al Unser family. And believe it or not, these are just a few of the museums in Albuquerque. You can spend weeks just going to museums in this city. I'm afraid I kind of gave the original alignment of Route 66 in Albuquerque a bit of a short shift this morning. So let me try to balance that out a bit. Here's one for you. This property is listed in the National Register of Historic Places. The Red Ball Cafe, I hope, has survived the COVID-19 shutdowns. The restaurant opened its doors in 1922 and is the oldest continuously operated restaurant along the Route 66 corridor in the city. And what visit to Albuquerque would be complete without Old Town? This for me is really a highlight of any visit to Albuquerque. And even though all the shops are closed, the restaurants are closed, I like being down there at sunrise. This is the original heart of the city. It dates to about 1706. And it was built on the ruins of an ancient Pueblo that was located at this site along the river, near the river. Albuquerque's Old Town encompasses about 10 blocks of historic adobe buildings that house an array of restaurants, galleries, and shops. And on the north side of the plaza is the San Felipe de Neri Church. It's the oldest building in the city. It was built in 1793. Tremendous care has gone into ensuring that the Old Town District looks much like it did when it was built centuries ago. Walking is the best way, and there are several good parking facilities nearby. And of course, there are some great restaurants in the district. But for my money, here's my traveler tip of the morning, my second one. Monica's El Portal at 321 Rio Grande Boulevard Northwest. When my dearest friend and I overnight in Albuquerque, this is our go-to place for breakfast. And it's just a few blocks off Route 66, Central Avenue. And next up is the world-class ABQ Biopark. This is also accessed on Route 66, Central Avenue. It's located next to the Rio Grande. The 64-acre zoo has been displaying exotic and native animals since 1927. Many of the animals have been part of successful and innovative conservation plans and captive breeding programs. In 1996, a Botanic Garden was added, and it's since grown to 32 acres of exhibits and showcases plants from the American Southwest and from around the world. In the same year, the ABQ Biopark Aquarium was established. A showpiece of the complex is Shark Reef Cafe that offers spectacular views into the 285,000-gallon ocean tank. And then there's Hinckley Beach, which is also part of the biopark. This is the gateway to the bosque bordering the river. There are 3 fishing holes, a mile-long looped walking and bike path that provides access to the river. And during the months of summer, paddle boat rental. Okay, next up, our trivia contest. Who wants a defaced copy of 100 Things to Do on Route 66 Before You Die? Well, we just need the first correct answer. This motel in Albuquerque with the original signage is the last of a now defunct chain. There is a direct connection to post-war Arizona history and the state's transformation into a destination for a new generation of residents. New residents, excuse me. Any ideas? Any thoughts? And since we're talking hotels and motels, I have one more to share from Albuquerque. The stunning Hotel Andaluz is located a few blocks off Route 66, Central Avenue. It is an absolute treasure. When it opened in 1939, it was the city's tallest building. It also has the distinction of being the 4th hotel built by Conrad Hilton. The interior decor was designed to mimic the style of hotels in Spain's Andalusian region, and is conveniently located just 1 block from the convention center. If you're looking to hold an event, this might be a good thought. In addition to 7,000 square feet of meeting and event space in the hotel, and it has beautiful and spacious rooms. There's also a rooftop bar and a lounge with $1,000,000 views. Well, let's talk a bit more about sponsors and travel tips. Desert Wonder Tours, based here in Kingman, Arizona, is your key to adventure in Northwest Arizona. And they are a limited partner with Jim Hinckley's America. You can book a Kingman Historic District walking tour with me as your guide through Desert Wonder Tours. A link to their websites can be found at jimhinckleysamerica.com. And I want to thank Louis Keene, the mayor there in Uranus. The Uranus Fudge Company and General Store is a quintessential roadside attraction that harkens to the glory days of Route 66. If you enjoy juvenile humor, quirky attractions, fun, good fudge, and lots of interesting taste treats, Uranus needs to be considered as a must-stop on a Route 66 adventure through Missouri. And one more, the historic Cactus Inn Motel in Mclean, Texas. Just a spit and a holler from the wonderful Red River Steakhouse, this little gem is more than a place to rest the weary head at the end of a long day. It is a time capsule wrapped in modern amenities. And just as with PBS, I want to give a hearty thank you to supporters of our crowdfunding initiative. Your dedication and continuing support make many of our programs possible, and they fund things like acquisition of new equipment. Microphone in the studio that I'm building here at the house and setting up is made possible with your support. I cannot imagine Jim Hinckley's America without you. Thank you. Now, before I get to your questions and comments this morning, I'd like to tell you a little bit about next week's program. Not sure if we're going to be doing a slideshow presentation or it's just going to be me beating my gums, but it's going to be fun. We're going to have some real enjoyment. I'm going to be talking about ghost towns and backcountry adventures. Just as a teaser, one of my favorite drives in Arizona is the Williamson Valley Road to Prescott from Seligman, and then up through the Bradshaw Mountains on the territorial Senator Highway to the old town of Crown King. It is a great adventure. Four-wheel drive is not necessary. It is kind of good, recommended on Senator Highway because you do have some stream crossings and some other things. But it is time travel. You have the Palace Station, a two-story log stage station built back in the 1880 period. In Crown King, this is a town with an 1870s saloon and a post office and general store that hasn't changed a lick since the 1920s. I really always hope that you can join us for this. It'll be a lot of fun. And we will, telling people where to go, it's what I do. Well, before I wrap this up, and trying to keep it kind of close to a timetable of sorts, we'll get to things here. We got Dave with us from Kentucky and Andy from Tucson. Andy and I were talking. Andy turned up something, and I'll share it on the Jim Hinckley's America page a little bit earlier. But in 1913, a pin was being offered. What is it? The Needles Grand Canyon Highway, for supporters of the Needles Grand Canyon Highway, and they were selling for $1 a piece. Andy said if I found one, he'd give me $1, and I upped the ante. I offered him $5 if he'll find one. And we have the delightful Carol with us from the UK. Jim Carter got his book and his travel package. Mike is with us today, and Andy. Don Nicholson, good morning from Detroit. Oh, Stephen, no problem. You're our second visitor from the UK today. Very good. And Sandra and Clemens from Nederlands. Hello, my friends. And Keith Kentner, Nolan. Excellent. Carol, I look forward to seeing you. You know, I have to see you again either on this side of the pond or on that side. I have yet to visit the UK, and it's on my list. No, Clemens, we don't do daylight savings time here. We're just the same all the time. Good morning, Miss Maggie from Michigan. Yeah, Andy, it's going to be good. It's going to be good and warm. Sherry, good morning. Bill, Philip, good morning. And Mark's with us. Andy, thank you. These photos, some of the photos from the old auto courts, they are from my collection, or they're generously supplied by Steve Ryder, Mike Ward, or Joe Sonderman. Albuquerque's changed a bit. It's good and bad like most cities, but it's a real dynamic city. Clemens, thank you for that review. I've never stayed there. I usually stay at the Monterey next door, and that has been renovated as well now. Same owners of the Elvato, actually. Klaus, how are you, my friend? Godly, Illinois. Well, my goodness. Yes, fudge. The fudge at Uranus is spectacular. Yeah, it's really top notch. And it's a strange place. You just got to have, it's a juvenile humor reigns supreme. But it's not a joke about the food they have. All kinds of just great taste treats and salsas and food, just jams and preserves and candies. But there's a lot of stuff there. They have a couple little cafes. Circus Sideshow Museum is really interesting. Couple escape rooms, a few other things. Yeah, next week we will talk ghost towns. I'm going to see what's available for photos in my collection as well as others, but we're going to talk about some interesting ghost towns and back road adventures. I mentioned the Williamson Valley Road. Another one I'll talk about is Ludlow out on California Desert Route 66 and the Tonopah Tidewater Railroad. I've been talking to some friends of mine that are 4x4 enthusiasts, and we're thinking that next winter, I've been told you can follow the old rail bed from Ludlow, California, all the way up into Rhyolite, Goldfield, Nevada. I don't know if my old Jeep's up to that. She's getting pretty old, but well, something to think about. Is there any other questions? Anything I can answer for you? No? I have some announcements. I'm working close with Fast TV. You'll be able to find them on the Roku channels here pretty quick. It's a Fast TV network. Take a look. They've got several programs, Legends of Route 66, and a program with Al Unser Jr., and I worked with him last weekend on some filming along Route 66. And we are talking about possibly finding other ways that we can collaborate. And I'm chomping at the bit to share information about an upcoming Kingman Main Street program. But I've been promised to silence, and I don't mean to tease everyone, but until they get everything, all their ducks in a row, sometime around end of April. And I can tell you all about that. Is there anything else, anything I can do for you this morning? Any questions I can answer before we wrap this up and call it a day? No? Don't forget the trivia contest. If you need to watch this again, and Highway House Motel, I will be, of course, this will be here archived on our Facebook page, and it'll be on our YouTube channel. Well, my friends, I guess that about wraps it up for this morning. Until we meet again, my friends, take care, keep smiling. As we learned last year, it can always be worse. Until we meet again, my friends, adios and vaya con Dios.